Welcome back to a little update video. As always, I am using the Fractal theory explanation video, the rules, the tutorial, and so on. I will link at the end of the video. Okay, well then let's jump into AMC. So, how we do that today? First of all, we will talk today with AMC and GME together, because both did a pretty good move today. Second, before we start, because I got this question today, I think 6 or 8 times, because point didn't talk about GME today. I say it again. If you want to know that, you have to ask him, not me. I can only guess why. I mean, in my opinion, his tracking isn't working for GME anymore, and he tends to not talk about things which isn't working with his tracking. But again, this is his tracking. If you want to know why, ask him, not me. We will talk about GME today. But first, we of course start with AMC. And it was a pretty good move today, to make that absolutely clear. We broke today our go-go line. That means we broke over 304. So for our bullish version, all-time low and also higher low is off the table. At the same time, I have to say, we didn't broke and gapped today. We also didn't had a strong day today because it was only 1%. Normally, there is a tiny chance that if you have a very strong Monday, that you could get a gap up Tuesday and a toppy Wednesday. In that case, I would have to say, because it wasn't, we broke our level, but it wasn't a strong day today for AMC. I think that was that for this week. AMC, like GME, is doing its big moves Monday, Fridays. So I would say the rest of the week, in the best case, we're doing strong moves upside, but no squeeze. Just saying, could be wrong. I mean, if we just gap tomorrow or lay. But if not, main target would be we continue this uptrend, for the bullish variant. Before we go into comparison and into the bearish version, for levels, well, up. The levels are up. The no-no lines to the downside, because we should always have no-no lines, we should always have an alternative. Doesn't matter how bearish or how bullish something looks. We can do these pullbacks. We come to that in a second. But what we, in my opinion, not allowed to break latest is 212. If we breaking 212, that was it for 2026. Now to the comparison. So both AMC charts, of course, both 1 hour charts, of course, both extended hour charts. Left side today, right side January 21st to January 19th. And you know, for my tracking, we are in January 13th to January 15th. So here would be our C, here's our V, C, V. Because of, I would even say EMAs, because all EMAs are here. We didn't do a higher low here, because we didn't do that. The same like we didn't do that in May 2026. So yeah, so AMC fucked me 2 times this year. But in my opinion, here's our line of our $3 mark this year. It's the same as this year. So in my opinion, we are in January 15 right now. Because for me, I don't see that we already have done January 20 to January 22nd. Could be wrong, but it would be quite the same landmark, to make that absolutely clear. But the thing is, back in 2021, you see that we broke over our $3 line here. Same we did today. And we did a pullback. We did the pullback here. So The only question is, this back then took only 5 hours. Yeah. The only thing is, also this ABC to January 15 only took 10 days. We are way slower right now. Yeah, because this took us already 126 days. So 10 times more. Yeah. But you shouldn't, and it's most of the time wrong, that if you say, okay, this was 10 times shorter, so this is 10 times longer, so this took us 5 hours, so this will take us 50 hours. It's most of the time not working. But if we look at this landmark, what have we done? We broke our go line. We did a pullback. The next candle was a nothing burger. So it stayed in this range. The candle after that broke out of this. If we're doing it one-to-one, I would say that would be something like $4 to $3.50. Yeah. Then we would even pull back more like we did today. Yeah. If it's one-to-one. So in that case, somewhere up here, and then we would pull back around here, 267 or something like that. And then we would be range bound again and not going quite really above $3. And then the only question is, are we gapping and doing our first part, or are we doing even a one-part squeeze to all-time highs? Or do we really have to do January 20 to January 22nd? This is for the bullish version the only question we have, nothing more. As I said in the last video, if we have to do January 20 to January 2nd, we would still get a pretty good fucking run. I would imagine something 8, 9, 10, well, let's say 6 to 10, something like that. And then we would still need to do this pullback. Most likely, again, without a higher low. And most likely we will do then a higher low because AMC hates me. But to make that also absolutely clear, if this already took us 126 days, if we have to do January 20 to January 22, I would say this will take till at least winter. I would even say January or May 2027. That's why also I wrote it in the comments today already. First of all, I took profit up open today because we didn't gap. And if you're not gapping on a Monday, the rest of the week is a nothing burger. But second, I rolled all my August contracts. Why? No financial advice. That's just me. I rolled them into December, not because I think it will take till December, just because I am not holding contracts if they expire in 3 weeks. 3 weeks is my no timeline or whatever. Yeah. Except they are really fucking YOLOs. But with a pretty good positions, I am not holding that long. I'm not saying that the Augusts are fucked, yeah, but it's my personal risk management. Yeah. And December's, why? First of all, they are cheap. And second, because even if we do this, even if we have to do January 20, these should still pay. Yeah. And if you get good movements, I maybe buy some YOLOs for August still. But the problem is, I don't see anything big this week. Yeah. Next week, you have only 2 weeks left. So if you don't see something big next week on August 10, they will lose value fast. And as usual for AMC, if we go into the week of 17, they are hero or zero, because in the last week of this August calls, most likely you won't be able to sell them even for 1 cent anymore. That's why I wrote them, just to make it absolutely clear. Good. So that's the levels to the upside. Yeah, I think this week will be most likely enough on burger. I like to be wrong. And the only question is, if we're now finishing this or this, are we gapping or do we still have to do this? Now to now to the alternative, because again, I tried it at every single stock. It doesn't matter how bullish or how bearish we are, we should always have an alternative. If we break down from here, especially if we break $12, that's bearish. It makes no sense. But in that case, I would say the alternative, which I don't think, because I still think the all-time low is finished with this break of $3. But if you break $2.12, I still go with the bearish version that we have to break all-time low till end of the year. Yeah. What comparison, what macro position would it be? Yeah, we would be right now here. November 24, 2020. In that case, we would go down, break 212. We would come up again, and we would say, no, we are squeezing, but then we would make a lower high. This is for me a 99% confirmation if we do that. This would be this. And then we will fall till end of year to a new all-time low. It makes no sense. Fundamentally or whatever. It makes no sense, but levels are levels. We saw that so many times. If we are breaking levels we shouldn't break, it goes to bearish route. So we have to wait for that. Before we go in the overall GME tracking, just a little sync thing with GME. Because GME today clearly broke our no-no line. There is no discussion about that anymore. It broke the no-no line. And I said in the previous videos, GME will give us the answer first. If GME is breaking 1961, which was our no-no line, that's fucking bad for memes. Now, a few ideas. First of all, if these two are still synced, yeah, which they are since 2021 till today, we have no proof of that. There is no proof. I mean, there's proof that they were synced from 2021 to 2026, but there's no proof that they are still synced. There's also no proof that they aren't, just saying. But in the case they are synced, GME gave us today the confirmation that GME will make new lows. We will come to that in a second in the GME tracking, and AMC will knife to a new all-time low. That's the first version. Second version, because there is no proof. There's also no proof that they are still synced. So GME can do whatever it wants. AMC can do whatever it wants. AMC looks bullish. EMA is tracking. Everything looks bullish. GME looks like shit. Okay. So in that case, fuck GME. Go AMC. Third version. And I think I like this version the best. Third version is they are still synced, but not yet. In that case, AMC is now doing its first part squeeze. Yeah, the price targets and so on are in the big roadmap video. No financial advice. So AMC would do this now, next week's, hopefully. GME will still fall, yeah, till end of the year. Yeah, it doesn't matter if no, that's 2024. Sorry, that's 2021. Give me 2021. Yes, 2021. GME, we will look at that in a second in the GME tracking, but GME would be here or GME would be here. We will look at that in a second, but GME would still do its pullback till end of year. Yeah. So AMC would do its first part in the next weeks, hopefully. And the rest of the year, the last 6 months of the year, AMC would do this pullback and this uptrend. During the time, GME is doing its last pullback, its higher low, and its uptrend. And in January 2027 to May 2027, GME is ready to do its one part squeeze. And at the same time, AMC would be finished with the stupid pullback and would do its second part squeeze. And both are squeezing to the tops synchronized at the same time again. That would make the most sense for me right now. Yeah, but could be wrong. Yeah, but it would, or they really unsynced and every one of them are doing their own thing. Good. That was the synchronization thing. Now the GME tracking for its own. And as I already said before, GME broke its no-no line today. And to make that absolutely clear, because I got so fucking much hate, yeah, every time when we talked about GME, it can't happen. They won't be able to push GME under 19. Because if they would do, GameStop would instantly buy the whole float, blah, 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 blah. Not possible. 100%. I always, every time when I talked about it, I got so much hate, and exactly in these words. We did it today. And in my opinion, that's not the low. And I don't see news for a buyback. Yeah, just saying. Yeah. For the tracking, we have different version. Yeah, my main version didn't change. Yeah, my main version, and to make that absolutely clear, the squeeze of 2021 for GME was just its A landmark. Yeah, it was a beautiful 618. Why did I put 618 here? 0.5 pullback. Sorry. Was a beautiful 0.5 pullback. And we bounced and made the May squeeze. The whole May 2024 till today is still, in my opinion, our higher low of A. Here comes the problem, but that in a second. If we now micro track this higher low, this whole thing, you have, you see, your lower high. And here in the Japanese knife started your M. And this M was never finished, because to finish a ladder, you have to come lower where it started. In that case, we have to come lower than 1762. Then M is finished. So I think we will still fall down. Then we will bounce somewhere. I would say 17 to 16. Somewhere in this range, you will get a bounce. You will come up. And it could be sharp, to make that absolutely clear. But I think you won't break this trend line. This will be your T, because you have no T here. And then you come to your point of return. V under A. Higher low is always doing a V under A. In that case, our V under A is here at 1360. And then you can go. You might do another higher low, but then you can go. And this whole thing will be the rest of the year. Yeah. To make it clear, how would that look like? It would look like we would be right now in this knife, as we always doing on GME. Then it will get fucking boring. Then we have this T landmark, and then we knife again. Yeah. It's also the same like here. M falling down, coming up, knife. Yeah. And for macro position, as I showed already for AMC, we have two versions. First, we are in this version here right now and looking for whatever low we get, or we are in this version right now. The better place would be if we are here, because then we can just go up. If we still here, we still have to do the higher low, and then it would take more time and stress. Yeah. But for the main tracking, nothing changed. Yeah, we need at least, and I can, one thing before that, I can say we don't need the T, because GME is one of a handful stocks which likes to don't do the T. One of a very few stocks which do that. So I'm also okay with going 17, 16, going up, breaking this fucking line, and we never do T. That's absolutely okay. If not, we reject here and we go to 1336. Or if we're getting a lot of volume and shorts or whatever you want to call it, we can instantly go down. I just don't think that, but could. Also, if we go on lower time frames, 5 minutes, this is a double bottom. That's not the V, in my opinion. Could be wrong. Would love to be wrong. I have no position in GME, so I don't care. But I'm always love to be wrong if something good happens about that. But double buttons, same as AMC. Look it up. All our Vs, I think also in GME, are no double buttons. This thing will roll over and will come down. In my opinion. Could be wrong. Love to be wrong. But yeah, this wasn't good today. Yeah, we waited very long because this bullshit here is really just bullshit. Yeah, especially this version here, just bullish, bullshit. But at least GME starts moving again. But also, I would say fundamentally, it makes sense. Yeah, I don't think if you're not suddenly reversing. Yeah, but if you think about the eBay news, even if this deal comes through, this will take time. It's a massive merger. 6 months for this is already fucking short time to make this deal. And of course you will say, yeah, okay, but the news are enough. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but to make the contracts, to get everything done and so on, 6 months is fucking short. Yeah, to make such a mega merger. So it makes sense that we have to wait till January. Yeah? But from tracking standpoint, you saw that in GNS, you saw that in FLNA, you saw that in FFAI. Breaking the no-no line is fucking bad. So we did it. Now comes the question, are we bouncing at 16 or squeezing? Or do we need 1363? And of course, the most important question, are they still sync? And will AMC follow? Let's see. Okay, now something hopefully more hopeful, yeah, BYND. And for BYND, I mean, nothing really changed except a few hopiums. We have earnings this week. I think it's tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Tomorrow after hours. Yeah, Wednesday after hours. So to make that absolutely clear, the only thing I want from BYYND is we have to hold 50 cents. That's the easiest way. That's the only thing I want from BYYND. Nothing more. Squeeze is okay, but also BYYND has this timing that most of its big runs are Friday, Mondays. Yeah. So the only really thing I want from BYYND is stay the fuck over 50 cents. I don't want to see an earnings knife. Yeah. If we micro track this, we had our V at 52 cents. We made a wonderful little higher low. We broke out, made a wonderful A with a wonderful 0.5 pullback, broke out again. This, in my opinion, is B. So I don't like to run into earnings. So what I would like to see is a 0.5 or 0.618 pullback around 59 to 58. The whole day tomorrow. And then bounce on earnings. Because you could compare these candles with these candles, you see this pullback would be perfect. Doesn't have to. If you go up here, fine, do it. That's the first thing. The second thing is we could compare this. Yeah, watch this. Wonderful. V, high, low, A, pullback, B. Yeah. We now look at October. Here is October, the big squeeze in October 2025. Here also, we did a V. We did a wonderful 618. We broke out, went to our A, did a 0.5, between 0.5, 618 pullback. We broke out, and this here is our small B. Here already, we didn't do a real 0.5 pullback. Yeah? And after that, we got the big run in October. Yeah, that would be the best case. Yeah. Also, a little confirmation we maybe already did today, because if you look at this trend line, and it's not only 2 touches, it's 1 touch, 2nd touch, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Yeah, we broke that today. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah, but it's a tiny hope you're back. Also, 4 levels. The level still stays the same, over 80 cents, and I get bullish again. Also, if we are still bearish and if we still think we break all-time low and everything is over, I don't think we will reach 80 cents to make it clear. So a break of 80 cents is bullish. The only question is, are we doing a slow squeeze? If we are bullish. Or a fucking quick one. If we look at October this year, this was fucking brutal and quick. If we look at April 26th, the small one, it was also quick and brutal. The same we have at quite every landmark of BYND. If it's finished with its pullback, it's quite always starting to get extremely violent. High, low, up. High, low, small up, but still up. High, low. Give me, yeah. And up. And then, of course, the last run to all-time high was also quite brutal. So, yeah, in that case, especially where we are right now, if this was the V at 52 cents, we finished the macro higher low. This is a big point, because the next thing which has to happen if we're bullish is the run to our macro A. And if it's somewhere something similar to the whole chart, this should be violent. And what is A? A comes after higher low. A is between T and M. That means between 15 and 44, 45. Somewhere in this range is our A. For the question, can we do something higher than here? If we're getting a lot of volatility, yes. If you break 44, 31, yes. If you reject here, no. Yeah, because then you will just do A, pullback, B, pullback, and so on. And to make it absolutely clear, you see that here in the chart, the chats, the squeezes are always quick and violent. But the pullbacks here, C to start of L, 229 days. L to start of M, 433 days. M to start of T, 451 days. T to all-time low took us 600 days nearly. And higher low to hopefully our V now took us 208 days. So if we're doing a quick run up here, this pullback can take a while. 200, 500 days, just saying. So no financial advice. If we do that, you should take profit, because this would take some time. Yeah, and the target would be around 350 again. Yeah, but still with bullish. And after we did that, we can play B. B should be something between 44 and maybe 100. Yeah, but this will take some time. So again, the only thing we have to do is stay over 50 cents. That's the only thing we have to do this week. If we do more, perfect. Yeah. But again, if we break 50 cents, this all-time low landmark, I say it again, be careful. I don't give financial advice, but we broke the no-no line in GNS, which was bad. We broke the no-no line in FFAI, which did then a 1 to 150 reverse split and is still knifing. We broke the no-no line in FLNA. Also, we broke the no-no line in GME. Yeah. And just the last warning, BYND already voted for a reverse split. If you break 50, you most likely will get it. So 50 cents is last line of defense. Let's see what we get. Next one is DJT, because it was asked. A little update on it. Nothing really changed. Again, just for the update of the whole tracking, I still think we didn't reach our all-time low landmark yet. But the next run is something worth to play. What does this mean? We had our C, we had our lower high, midpoint. I think we finished our midpoint. We could finish our midpoint. We still have to do our macro T, last time to sell before the V. This T could go up till $34-ish. Yeah. And after that, you would get the all-time low. So this is still worth playing because it would be 230%. Yeah. Then was the question, do we go up from here? Yeah. And if you look, if you zoom in a little bit, my first bullish target, yeah, because the only question here is, does DJT need a higher low before we go or not? And most of the time, before DJT is massively going, yeah, it's tending to do a higher low. Here was no higher low, but here was also a big higher low before we went up. Yeah. So also for my risk management, I want to see in any stock before we get a big run a higher low. But we had levels. What we don't allow to break, so we can still do a higher low. The first level I had is to get really bullish on DJT was 1056. Yeah, we don't allow to break 1056. And if you look, we slightly rejected here. Yeah. If we now macro track just this, yeah, we had most likely our V. We did a higher low. Then we did little A and little B. Also, if you look at that, nice 0.5 pullback, and here was a 618 pullback. Yeah. Then we went up to our shouldn't cross line, pulled back, came up again, but this time we made a lower high. So if the tracking is perfect, we would still come down now, come up again. If we have to do every landmark for our M, come down, come up again, T. Our target for the bounce level is V under A. That means 792. If we do that, I mean, we could also do this, just to make that clear. This is just if it's perfect landmarking. Yeah. I don't have a position yet. Yeah. But if we do that, my buy-in level is exactly here, between 790 to 739-ish, something in this range. Of course, if we break 7, yeah, then get out, because then we're looking for a new low, of course. This would be my buy-in level. If we go up from here, yeah, why ever? As I said, 1055 would be already bullish. 1136 would be already very bullish. And I would say everything over 1529, and the probability that you're doing a higher low is shrinking nearly to zero. And absolute confirmation is 70-12. Of course, you would miss this run. And to make that clear, if we do this, I don't get a position. Because here up there, the contracts are already choose as fuck. No, then I missed it. Yeah, but I better like it more to miss something than to buy a fake run, just to say that. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, if you do that, would be a perfect run. If you break these levels, you don't do the higher low and just go up. Yeah. One last thing. If you have the idea that you don't play the upside, you play the downside. Don't get faked because I draw this just for so we can put everything on the chart. If you look at all the pullbacks for DJT this year was 500 days. This year was 195 days. This was 300 days. And this was 184 days. This pullback, same as BYND, will take a while. Yeah. If you really want to play this, no financial advice, but leaps for 2028 would be good. Everything shorter, this could take a while. Just saying, the pullbacks for DJT are always fucking slow. The uptrends are fucking quick. Before we go into the community wishes, I already clicked it. We start looking at VIX again. It's so fucking stupid. I really have to say that. So, as always, VIX, volatility index, bullish VIX means market down, bearish VIX means market up. Yeah, we are looking from August 2024 to today. We have our all-time high, lower high, midpoint, and again, yeah, for the new watchers, our M started here at December 2025, and we didn't finish it yet. Still, this whole thing is M. Yeah. And as I said in the last videos, I said I'm not really sure on SPY tracking right now. We will look at that today too, but VIX should be bearish. Yeah, and if we micro track this, we have here our high, the lower high of VIX, then the little midpoint of VIX, yeah, which started here and finished here with a lower low. Yeah, and then we went up to our T. And again, I said sometimes I'm also human, especially on VIX. Some landmarks, it happens that I see them too small. Yeah, because previously I had it here and we should already knifed, and then we made a little higher high. Happens. Yeah, also just human, especially on VIX. I hate that. Yeah? But we will, yeah, comes in a second. But I said also in the last video, normally, if my tracking is right, we fucking should knife. And we knifed. Yeah? Also, to make that absolutely clear, if we wouldn't have knifed here and we broke through, we would have had a market correction, maybe even a market crash. So this was the last chance that first, the bearish tracking for VIX is still playing out, on second, that we knife. And it was a pretty hard knife. Yeah. Now two versions. Version 1. If we micro track just this little T here, yeah, the best version for the market, not for VIX, is we have our L, we have our M. This on Monday was already our T, and we fucking knifed to our target 1339, yeah, or lower to finish M. This would mean market rally, even more than today. Just saying. Yeah, that would be the absolute bearish version for VIX and bullish version for the market. Because I looked quite often too small, yeah, on VIX. Perfect example was this here. Yeah. Or if we look, let's make it closer. to look at this M. Yeah. We also had here C, a lower high. And also here I said, hey, this could be M and this is T, and we knife, and then we got this push. Yeah, because if you just look at this little M, this was CLMT. Yeah, to make that clear. So we don't, or I don't fall into this trap again. It is, and also, if you see this, we knifed quite close to the low here, and then we did this bounce. We could do that. We come up now, doing this M, make a lower low, come up again, T, and then we go down. This would be a little pullback in the market. It wouldn't be a crash, but it would be a little pullback in the market. Yeah, we'll look at nasdaq SPY and IWM in a second. But this would be the alternative. Yeah, but again, in that case, we shouldn't break over the green trend line. Yeah, so nothing over 20. Anything over 20 and something is wrong. Yeah. We also have still a gap to fill here between 1524. 1524 we have to fill the gap. A little stupid part, we had this gap here too. So yeah. But we also have a bigger gap open here between 1363 and $14. So whatever we're doing, we could see a massive market rally short term, this or next week, if we just continue what we're doing. But all in all, even if we're getting a little pullback in the market, this still looks fucking bullish for the market. Yeah. So nice. So let's start with SPY and NASDAQ. So just one thing, we're not talking about SPY. We are not tracking SPY today, just because of one reason. I have right now no clue on SPY. Yeah, I stand to that still, like the last video. I have right now no clue. We broke all-time highs today. Yeah, which is fucking stupid. Without pullbacks, just say that. Yeah, but did this candle, for example, no. Yeah, so right now I can't track SPY. Yeah, but there's one thing. If you look at SPY, we already broke all-time highs. What is fucking lagging behind? NASDAQ. Because here you broke all-time highs on SPY already today. NASDAQ still, and they are not running inverse. And okay, sometimes NASDAQ is a little bit behind SPY, but that NASDAQ is breaking all-time highs, you need 6.5% still. NASDAQ is right now massively lagging behind. But I have a theory on this. Yeah. So for SPY, right now, whatever. Yeah. If VIX is bearish, we will go up. For NASDAQ, it's even more stupid. But the tracking is working. First of all, we are not looking what we have done since June. We are looking what we have done from October 25th till March 2026. Because if you micro track this, we had back then all-time high, broke down, bounced, made a lower high. This is our lower high. And then look where this lower high was finished. It was finished here on March 2026. This whole thing is lower high. It's massive. Yeah. And then I already said that I fucking hate it. We did a small M and an even smaller T. And normally, yeah, if you're already watching me longer, if we would sit here, I would say no, not possible. We are not doing this. Because normally to have such a big L, such a small M and such a small T is not normal. But as we now know, we got our NASDAQ squeeze after that. So what did we do since June 2026 till today? If we micro track this bullshit, we had our all-time high, fall down, started the lower high, and this lower high finished here, July 24. Then we came up lower, made our small T, and knifed. Did you see any similarities to the thing I showed you before? Any? If we're doing this again, 1-to-1, this is fucking stupid. Also, these bars pattern here are exactly from here. Yeah, this bars pattern is exactly from here. If we pull that up here and make them smaller, they are nearly 1-to-1, a little bit lower here, a little bit higher, but from the landmarks, it's fucking the same. So, if we're doing this again, I mean, what should I say more? I mean, and not saying it's 1-to-1, yeah. But let's put that side aside to make that absolutely clear what I mean. Here, side by side, yeah. This is the March 2026 we talked about, and here is today. And do you see similarities to this? Yeah, we had our V because here was a lower low. V had a run, made a peak, made a pullback, made a lower high. This was a higher high, yeah, or we are still here. We could be, yeah, lower high, little pullback, run. It only is the question, do we need this? Or are we fucking going? This is fucking stupid. If we do that, yeah, this is blow off top. And to make that also absolutely clear, what do we have this week? We have this week on tomorrow, job openings, volatility target, PMI, Wednesday, volatility target, non-permanent payrolls, volatility target. Doesn't care what happens on with this data, yeah, but it's volatility. But what earnings on nasdaq do we have this week? We have Wednesday after our SpaceX. That is volatility. We have at the same day, Wednesday after hours, AMT earnings. We had today Palantir earnings. This could go in both directions, but the volatility is there. The only bearish alternative I would have is if we do a higher low, yeah, and then go. Also here, you remember back here in April 2026, everyone was screaming, we have to fill this gap, or we even knife down. This is the perfect shot. I said back then, be careful. Be fucking careful. We could get a bounce, and then we get this blow off top. And now, again, so many people, yeah, we will knife. It's over. Everything goes to zero. Asia is crashing. War, everything's over. If we might. What if we're doing the same shit again? Yeah. Also, one last thing to this. If you look at IWM, you wanna tell me this looks bearish? Yeah. Also, for IWM, what are you doing? Yeah. You made a V. You make a higher low. You break out. Here the same. You did your V. You do your higher low. You gap. You make your run over all-time highs. Then you make a breakout retest of the wedge. What did you do now? You made our A, B, C, lower high, midpoint, T, knife to V, made a higher low, gapped, broke trend. So if you're doing the same shit, it would be something like this. That's not bearish. Yeah. I could be terrible wrong, but this right now looks fantastic. Just saying. Okay. Now to some community wishes. First, Nike. And for Nike, I only have to say I can't help you with this. Yeah. These charts, like ETFs or Nike, for example, you can't really use Fractal on this. Yeah, we have no fips here, no real pullbacks. We will do a little micro tracking here, but all in all, this is shit for Fractals here because you can't do anything. Of course, November 1984 was our low. Okay. Then we had into September 1986 our higher low. The next real pullback is between 1979 to 2000. This could be our A, but there is no fib. This is nothing. Yeah. In the best case, this was our B. Yeah. But also here, I won't think that we have to do the 0.5. Yeah, because these charts are just going up. You could use trend lines, but in that way, if you use the most touch points here, yeah, A broke it and then bounced. If you do the same thing right now with the most touch points, again, you broke the trend. I would say there's a good possibility you bounce again. If you micro track this, just this little thing here, I would say here at the top, of course, November 2021, lower high, M, T. So the only thing you're looking for is a V. And then you would go up. I even looked, do we do normally higher lows? Well, back here after the A pullback, we didn't. There was no higher low. It was just V and go. So even that is not helping. Also here from the all-time low, there wasn't really a big higher low. This is kind of one, yeah, but not a real one. So there won't be confirmation. And for levels, yeah, okay, everything over 67 is already bullish. Everything over 77, and you will go up, in my opinion. That's too high for a higher low. Yeah. To the downside, I mean, if we suddenly, which I don't think, starting doing fibs, your target for B would be 19. And of course, everything under 561 would be too low. Yeah. Then you will go to $2. But sorry, but these charts are bullshit. Just saying. Okay. Next one is kind of the same. HTC, but it's shit because of another thing. You have a lot of pullbacks here. Yeah. Problem with HTC, and I think I tracked it already in October 2020. The problem is you're always in this range. Nothing is really changing here. Yeah, that's the shitty part about this version. I will still try it, but you see, you had down here on the 24-hour chart, because I already did that in the German video a little bit wrong. This is a double bottom. Yeah, it's already a problem, in my opinion. Yeah, but somewhere in here, that's your V. Yeah, and right now you're doing this. Yeah. So the problem here is we could start micro tracking this. C, lower high, midpoint. I still think we didn't do T. So we have earnings this week. That's why you asked me, I think. Yeah, I have two possibilities here. First, you come up for your T. Then you go lower. Or, like the same bullshit you did here, your T will be somewhere in this knife. And then it's the question, are we doing a triple bottom or not? But otherwise, I don't like that, really. Yeah. This stock looks like shit. I know why maybe some people are interested, because I mean, that are good runs. But everything on this stock, in my opinion, would be guessing. Really, just saying. Yeah, for me, there are way better ones than this. Yeah, so sorry. Okay, and last one is Olm. It first of all, I thought this is really a shitty stock. I mean, because of tracking. Yeah, it was a wish from the German community, but there was something interesting on this. First of all, it's a Korean tungsten mining company. Yeah. For the tracking, it's quite easy. You had your V, high or low, A with pullback, and this was 618 pullback. We have two versions here. The bullish version, this is B. Yeah. In that case, you would get a pullback around 320, because you also did a good pullback here. So you should be doing a good pullback here. This could take a while, just say. Yeah, or we really knife. The bad version would be that you be somewhere in here. This is already a C, and you will knife down to 45 cents. That's the bullish to bearish. But that's not the interesting part about this. The interesting part about this is Cosby, because this here is a Korean tungsten company. And if we're now taking Cosby, the big ETF, which had a really rough time, just to say that, because since June, it knifed 40%. Yeah. And I still think that's not over yet. Yeah. Because here the government stepped in, and I don't know how many trillion they used to pump this, but even with this trillion, they don't achieve a bullish break. Yeah, I still think that maybe you're coming up again. Most likely you will go down. Yeah, still will be a packing knife. But the interesting part about this is, if we put these two side by side on the 4 hour, you see this? This company is quite trading right now 1-to-1 with this index. 1-to-1. And here came my idea. You don't even, because this is nasdaq. This is Cosby. And Cosby is trading in front of the US market. What or after that, I don't know. But it's not trading at US market times. So if this is really running 1-to-1, and it's a little bit after that, you see that? When, or a little bit, yeah. Is it a little bit before that or a little bit after that? Right, this is the weekly chart. Let's go on the 24-hour chart. So, yeah. Yeah. The thing is, if this is pulling over, this thing will also pulling over. If this thing is starting to go up, this thing is also starting to go up. Yeah, I don't think you even have to micro track this bullshit. You just have to look at Cosby, and this is interesting. Yeah, so let's see. Could be fucking funny. Yeah. Okay. For all the rest, nothing changed. Even with this market rally today, with this little squeeze, nothing broke levels. Downside or upside. Old tracking is still everywhere okay. For AMC and GME, we have to wait. Beyond, Let's see if it's getting interesting at earnings. But yeah, one thing, I have no time this Friday, so I will make this week the video, the end of trading day video on Thursday. Yeah, just to say that, and hopefully I get enough time on the weekend, or I will if something is really massively changing. As always, tutorial here, playlist here, big roadmap video back here. If you liked it, leave a like. If you want to see more, leave an abo. And let's see what the rest of the week is giving us. See ya.